How do you change the battery in this thing? In this episode of Aston1936.com, I'm going to show you how to change the battery in the Aston Martin key fob that's really a Volvo key fob. So we don't need many tools to do this. We're going to need a very small tip Phillips screwdriver, and we are going to need a 2mm hex key. Leave it to Aston to require two types of tools. And the only part we're going to need is a simple CR2032 battery. Now Aston says to change this every annual service. Well, I changed mine 8 years ago. It's still working, but I figured I'd do a video on how to do it now so all of us could enjoy. So the first step is to take your Phillips and you're going to go into basically this dark hole, and sure, you won't be able to see it because it's all black, but there is a Phillips screw in there, and you're going to release that. Next up, we have to separate this chrome shell from the top of the key fob. You can't just split the shell with this in place. So this is a fairly long set screw, and you have to remove the whole thing. There we go. So once that's out, you should be able just to pull the chrome tab and the leather strap with it. There's basically the leather strap. If I can pull it out now and we have a closer look, it's just basically a little roll of leather, loop of leather that goes around, and they've got a hole punched in the end of it. And then that's just going to line up and go through, and the set screw holds it in place between the two tabs of the key fob, and the set screw goes through the center of all of it. So pretty straightforward. If this comes apart on you, it's no big deal. Just, tuck it back in. And if your leather were to ever break, you could just get another piece cut and put it together. Okay, so we've got the set screw loose, we've got the thing off the end. Next tip is you want to keep the button facing down so they don't fall apart when you separate it. And on the end here, there is a little slider that's spring-loaded. We're going to have to slide it to the right while we're trying to separate the clamshell. So now I'm keeping this down so that the circuit board and all the buttons stay intact. And there we've now revealed our battery. So this is held in at 3 points. There's 3 little plastic tabs, and there's a little spot here you can get under it and just pop it up. And that's that. So I'll probably inset a photo, but it'll be too tough to see here, but there's this little embossed VOLVO that just starts to show through the leather after there's some age on it. And so that's proof this is a Volvo key fob. No big deal, Volvo makes good cars. So let's bust out our new battery. Okay, so putting the battery in isn't tricky. You just kind of get it under the back 2 tabs first, and then just, oh, I'm doing it upside down. So that's a good point. The part that says CR2032 should be down, and then you slide underneath and snap it in. So the part without the writing faces up. So now we just need to reassemble, which is pretty much the reverse of putting it together, but I start with the end here. I get the clamshell at that side connected, and then I'm just squeezing it together, make sure it contacts well. So at this point, before I put any screws in, I'm just going to check that the buttons feel like they're working properly. If your car is near you, you could go back out, which is another tip. While you're putting this together, it's pretty easy that you could hit the alarm button or something like that. So I'm doing mine well away from the car in the house. So now I'm going to do the set screw up. So this may have fallen over while it was flopping around, and mine's actually upside down. And I could pull it out, put it back on the screwdriver, put it in, and just snug it up, no big deal. So now it's not going to fall apart while you're handling it. So the trickiest part of this whole process for me is getting this little leather tab system back into the slots. So basically you're just going to try to get that. I'm going to try and separate it a little bit with my one fingertip. And then I'm going to tuck the tabs in. I can't really see what I'm doing, but that's okay. And you can sit and fight with yours until you get the tabs back in between the plastic and the holes lined up. Okay, so I've managed to tease the leather into place. So I'm going to slip the chrome collar in, and then by hand I'm going to start the set screw. I don't want to start it with the wrench. It should just go in completely smoothly by hand. If it pinches part way in, you probably don't have the leather lined up. So then just once it's going smoothly, just basically run this back down till it bottoms out. You don't really need to torque it, you just snug it up. And there you go. That's how you change the key fob battery in an Aston Martin early model keychain. If you like getting videos like these, please go ahead and subscribe. Up here, I'll probably have a link to some other interesting video. And down here, there'll be a link to the companion blog article where you might see some extra photos of the Volvo key fob, the part numbers and things like that, maybe some details of the circuit board. And as always, I'd love to hear your comments. Please leave those down below. Thanks for watching.